Welcome to the Fred Pawle Show on ADH TV. Well, after being struck down by COVID for a week, ABC Media Watch host Paul Barry returned last night to criticise a recent wave of media reports about a miracle cure against the COVID virus: garlic. Barry was right. The garlic story was a beat-up. The tests to prove that garlic could fight off the virus were done in petri dishes, not on humans, and the research, which is not yet published, was funded by the company flogging the product. But what Barry neglected to point out was that the vaccines that the ABC has relentlessly plugged for years are even worse. At least garlic isn't killing people or giving them permanent heart conditions, as the vaccines are now doing. In 2021, Barry was in fact an emphatic critic of reports suggesting the AstraZeneca vaccine was causing adverse reactions in some people, including death. He had to later apologise for getting that wrong. The AstraZeneca vaccine, as we now know, is no longer available in Australia. You'd think that the conflicting information about the virus and vaccines would have stopped by now, but it is as bad as ever. Here's a report from the Melbourne Herald Sun newspaper just yesterday saying that being unvaccinated makes you more likely to still be sick from the virus 2 years later. Judging by the response to the online version of that story, not even the Herald Sun's readers are falling for that scaremongering anymore. It's certainly a strange way to attract readers. If you cast your mind back to the halcyon days of December 2019, you'll recall a nation that was troubled only by the fake crisis of climate change and, for want of other worries, how to spend the billions of dollars we were making from digging up iron ore and coal and selling it to China and India. But that all changed when China announced in early 2020 the emergence of the COVID virus, supposedly from a wet market in Wuhan. The country, indeed the world you see around you now, is dramatically different. More easily frightened, more dependent on government, more in debt, and more divided. All those changes weren't caused by the virus, which turned out to be not much worse than a bad version of influenza, but by our reaction to it. 3 institutions that we previously trusted are now, since COVID, treated with, at best, scepticism and at worst, contempt. The media, medicine, and politics. Who could have guessed that in 2019 that these 3 would join forces to try to destroy freedom and profit from fear at the expense of the trust they once enjoyed? The media, which for generations was based on the idea that it spoke up for its readers and viewers, switched overnight to become a megaphone for the powerful. The medical profession revealed itself to be not much more than a front for pharmaceutical companies, which, as it turns out, are among the most corrupt companies in history, and politicians audaciously seized the opportunity to increase their power through undemocratic means. Analysing how we allowed this to happen will take years and will require those who perpetrated it to admit they were wrong. It will also require the public to accept that it played a role in this catastrophic power shift, accepting the undemocratic seizing of power by tyrannical leaders and health bureaucrats. As writer Dan Hannan said in The Telegraph in London this week, lockdowns look horribly like becoming a standard response to future health scares. The monster was not destroyed after all. A sequel to the horror film may follow. It would be comforting to pin the responsibility on someone: autocratic politicians, cowardly bureaucrats, sensationalist broadcasters. But the horrible truth is that, as a country, we did this to ourselves, and in all likelihood we would do it again tomorrow.